You're welcome to today's class. We're going to be talking about music staff, clefs, and alphabetical names of lines and spaces. While I said music staff, it also can be called a music stave, as is written here. So the music staff or the music stave is a set of 5 horizontal lines and 4 spaces that each represents a different musical pitch. As you see in the diagram above, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's actually counted from down up. The down one is the first line, this followed by the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth are the 4 spaces. So this is a music staff. This is a music staff. Then we have it here also numbered correctly. The green ones are the green numbers are to identify the lines, and then the red numbers are to identify the spaces. The red numbers are to identify the spaces. So we are going to identify each of them properly, and I want you to also know that these lines and spaces actually have their own name, but before you be able to name them, you must be able to identify what type of clef is on it. So in music, we have 2 notation at the beginning of a music staff or a stave, as is written. A clef indicates the pitch of the music staff. So when this music notation, which is a clef, is included, when it's included on a staff, it gives the line and the spaces a particular pitch. It will no longer be numbered. It will start taking a particular pitch. Let's proceed. So we're going to be talking. Yeah, exactly. This is an example of how to include a G clef. This is a G clef or a treble clef. How to include the G clef in a music notation. This is an example. So you include the clef at the beginning of the staff. You include staff, just as you see in the diagram. And then apart from the treble clef, we also have the G clef, the bass clef or the F clef. It's called the bass clef or the F clef. And I will explain more on why it's called that way. It's not because of the shape. It's not called that because of the shape. So now this is how to include the bass clef on the staff. So including the bass clef on the staff automatically make that staff a bass staff or a bass stave. Including the treble clef on a staff automatically makes that staff a treble staff. Hope you understand. You can drop your question on the comment section. Okay, now let's talk about the names of the lines and spaces on the staffs when a clef is placed on it. We're going to be talking about, in music, we have 7 alphabets that were taken from the normal English alphabet, and these 7 alphabets are used to represent the pitches in music. So when a music notation, when a clef is placed on a staff, the 7 alphabets are used to help us represent the different pitches for us to know how to read our music properly. So now, these 7 alphabets that are used are the letter A, the letter B, the letter C, the letter D, the letter E, the letter F, the letter G. And that is from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We see that there are 7. Within H is not used in music, so it's from A to G. If you want to continue lettering it after G, you go back to A. So you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, like that. There's no H, there's no I. So on the first line, when the G treble clef is placed on a staff, the first line is called E, as you see. So this first line is called E when the G treble clef is placed on the staff. We have it as E, and then the second line is called a G. So the first line is called a E, the second line is called a G. The third line is called a B, the fourth line is called a D. The fifth line is called F. So we have it as E, G, B, D, F. And the acronym for that is every good boy deserves favor. I like this acronym so much because as a good boy, you shouldn't deserve just one stuff. Favor can continue coming. But some people will be like, every good boy deserves Fanta, every good boy deserves friendship. But I'll choose favor instead of all those things. So every good boy deserves favor. That is the acronym. And the reason, and one of the things I want you to understand is this is a G clef, and I want you to note that the second line is where the dot for the G clef starts from, is where the drawing of the G clef starts. You draw the G clef this way, and that second line is called a G line. You see that's where the G, letter G is, and that is mostly why it's called a G clef. So from here on, we're going to be talking about the bass clef, and we're going to be talking about the bass clef, and the first line on the bass clef is called a G. The first line on the bass clef, when the bass clef is placed on the staff, the first line is called a G. This can be any staff. It can be an empty staff. The only thing that differentiates, or the only thing that determines what the line and the spaces are called, is when you place a clef on it. So if I remove this bass clef now and we place a treble clef on it, or a G clef, it automatically turns this first line to become an E, no longer a G. So bringing it back to bass clef, it will make it a G. It will make it a G. So the next note, the next line after the G is called a B on the bass clef, and the next line is called a D. While the fourth line is called an F, while the fifth line is called an A. The fifth line is called an A. And we see the acronyms there, like good boys deserve favor always. Yeah, good boys deserve favor always. So another thing I want you to note is this. We call this an F clef or a bass clef. And you see that between the F clef is followed by two dots that are in between this line. And then these two dots are in between the line of F. That is basically why it's called an F clef. These two lines between the line of F, and also the way people start drawing the F clef, they start drawing it from the F line. So that is the reason why they call it an F clef. So if you're trying to remember the letter names for the F clef after drawing it, you could just start by, first of all, remembering that the fourth line of an F clef is the F. And for the bass clef, you can start by remembering that the second line of the bass clef, the second line of the treble clef is the G. And from there, you can include other alphabets to make up the remaining letters. So now let's talk about the spaces. Let's talk about the spaces in our staffs. This first space, when we place a G clef or a treble clef on a staff, is called F. If we note, the first line is called E. The first space is called F. In musical alphabet, you have E. After E, the next letter to come is F. Then the second space is called E. It's called A. I'm sorry. The second space is called A. In musical alphabet, in English alphabet, you know that. Okay, here we have E. Let me write it. Here we have E. Then we have F, E, F. Here we have G, E, F, G, A. Then here will be B, which is E, F, G, A, B. So that is it. The whole clef is actually going up in pitch, following the normal ascending order of the alphabet and normal ascending order of the selected alphabets that are used in music. You see, after G, which was the last alphabet, it went back to A. And from A, it went to B. From B, it went to C, which is the third space. Now, let's talk about the fourth space. Let's clean this first. and the fourth space is called an E. So we have the F, A, C, E, which is the spelling of face. I don't need to give this an acronym, but if you want, you could give it an acronym that you like. Or you can call it Father Abraham Cooks Egg. I don't know if Father Abraham cooks egg, but that is the acronym I will use if I want to call it an acronym. But you could just call it face, as it properly spells face. So the first letter in the space is called F. Second space is E. So if you follow that, the first line is E, the first space is C. So the first line is E, the first space is F, the second line is G, the second space is A, the third line is B, the third space is C, the fourth line is D, the fourth space is E, and the fifth line is F. So let's go to the bass clef now. Let's talk about the spaces in the bass clef. When we put this bass clef on the staff, the first space is A. If you know, the first line is G in the bass clef, and now the first space is A. The second space will be C. The second space will be C, while the third space will be E, and then the fourth space will be G. And from here we have A, C, E, G. That means I'll give it an acronym of all cows eat grass. I don't know if there's a cow that doesn't eat grass, but from what I've seen, all cows actually eat grass. Maybe not the same type of grass, but they eat grass. Okay, so this is it. This is the whole notations, and I want you to actually go over this, and if you're unable to get it right the first time, you could come back and watch the video. Let me write down all the notations here for you now. So now we have, I'm going to write it, let me write it here. Okay, let me use it like, so we have G being the very first one. The line is G. We have G, we have A, we have B, we have C, we have D, we have E, we have F. Write your F properly. So this is my F. Okay, so this is my F. We have it as A, so we have G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then this is A. So this is how the bass clef affects the notes on the staff. When the bass clef is placed on it, the first line becomes a G, the second line becomes A, the fourth line becomes the first line becomes G, the first space becomes A, the second line becomes B, the second space becomes C, the third line becomes D, the third space becomes E, the fourth line becomes F, the fourth space becomes G, and then the fifth line becomes A. Let's clean this up. So this is basically everything when it comes to understanding the letter names on the staff. In our next class, we'll go further concerning the letter names on the staff, and then we might actually we'll talk about beats and how to identify beats with rest on your music staff. So that is all for this. See you all in the next class. Once again, you're welcome to Music with Amadi. Thank you so much.